Okay then fam, this is getting silly. A wee bit out of hand. What am I talking about? Right. So back in early 2021, Sony came out and went, "Oh, we got over 21 titles coming, and over half of them are going to be original IP." And we were all like, oh, "Yay! Woohoo!" And this seemed like extra good news, really cool things. A whole bunch of games, and to be fair, we've seen some good stuff. I mean, Horizon Forbidden West, we got God of War Ragnarok, the next God of War coming, you know. We've seen Ratchet and Clank do brilliantly. We've got that Horizon VR game, was it Forbidden Mountain or something? Or not Forbidden Mountain, not Holy Mountain, whatever it is, something Mountain. You know, and they've got Stray coming at some point, you know. I don't know if you count Thifu, because that was PlayStation exclusive, but now it's hitting other platforms, so I don't know. But basically, one of the two titles that have been talked about the most recently are another Sly Cooper game, which, you know, if that makes you happy, cool. It's not for them bloke, but hey, you know. I've never actually got around to playing one, so maybe if I played it I might like it, but I kind of missed the boat there. Maybe when the new one comes out, if it comes out, then perhaps I'll play it. And this is the whole crux of it, because as a lot of you have probably seen from me on my Twitter, if you follow me there, and from a couple of videos here, I love the Infamous games. I think the Infamous games were brilliant, especially in their time. I mean, Infamous 1 and Infamous 2 were fantastic. I loved them so much that way back in the annals of this channel, I made sure to get the special edition of Infamous Second Son, the collector's edition, which came in the little denim jacket, and I unboxed it on this channel. Went upstairs to the bedroom, laid out the first row, and proceeded to unbox it, and it was a great unboxing. Admittedly, I could have done something to hold the camera other than my other hand, but you know, I was fairly new at this YouTube game and I was just doing what I could. But that aside, the fact of the matter is, you look at the Second Son now, it still stands up, it's still a good game. I mean, yes, okay, there is an issue with the choice system throughout the Infamous games where it is a bit black and white, you know. There's no subtle shades of grey, but that can be improved upon. But the most people talk about when they want Infamous coming back is do 1 and 2, tell Cole McGrath's story, but do with modern updated graphics, gameplay, you know, and physics and mechanics and all the rest of it. Bring the first two Infamous games' story and setting and characters up to date. Tell all the same stuff, you know, you might change a couple of things here and there, because maybe some of the storytelling aspects might not work now. But I think you could really do something very, very special with the original two Infamous games, including adding in, at no additional charge, Festival of Blood. I think those could be made into something very special. And as much as I love that, the one thing that's been driving me mad for months now is almost on a weekly basis, somebody pipes up on the internet. It could be GameSpot, it could be Kotaku, IGN, big name YouTubers who happen to have Twitter accounts, people who just are fans of the game. PlayStation have even said stuff where they're going like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if there was an Infamous game? Maybe we'll get one day. And every time an entity on social media says this about lots of games, then we end up into this death spiral of like, ooh, when's it coming? Is it coming? What's it going to be like? Ooh, when's it coming? Ooh. And the fact of the matter is, much like with Grand Theft Auto 6, we know Nothing. Okay? As far as we know, if you want to get absolutely, completely and utterly real with it, what we know right now is that there were some infamous games and they were good. We know nothing about any further infamous games. We know nothing about any further Sly Coopers. We know nothing about any further adventures in Mass Effect. The list is almost endless. There's all these people going, oh, let's have another one of ... You know, people want another MotorStorm. I want another MotorStorm, but I don't see it happening because the company that made MotorStorm is no more. Now, yes, Sony technically owns the IP, and they could award it to one of their other studios, like, say, maybe Bend. I think Bend could probably actually make quite a good MotorStorm. You know? But the chances are, they probably won't. Now, since Sony made that original 25 games in development announcement, they have since bought over a fair wee amount of studios. Not to mention alone, they're presently in the process of buying up Bungie. So, you know, they've got the tools to make these games. They are probably making these games. In fact, we might even see, or even at least get hinted at, a couple of them maybe on the State of Play next week. But chances are the State of Play next week will probably centre around God of War. And that's no bad thing. Now, me, personally, I never really gelled with God of War. Maybe one of these days I'll give it another try. You know, maybe this time it'll click with me. But when I first got a go of it a couple of years ago, I loaned my neighbour's copy. And I tried. And it's like, I got a fair bit in, but I just didn't enjoy myself. And as I said in the last video with my boy, if you're not having fun, why are you bothering? It's that simple. Gaming is meant to be the release, it's meant to be the fun, it's meant to be the thing that takes you out of the daily grind. You know? So if you're not having fun, you don't bother. So I wasn't having fun in God of War, so I stopped. It's that simple. Maybe if I try it again someday, I will have fun. I mean, I've got it on the Instant Game Collection from when I got PlayStation 5, so it's there sitting. You know, I made sure to get the download rights for it, so it's there technically for me digitally. All I have to do is someday actually have the time to play it once I get through the rest of the backlog, which is significant. Oh, there's a familiar tale to every gamer out there. The significant backlog. Right, but here's the thing, okay? We keep getting all these games that aren't even games yet touted at us. You know, ooh, this thing could happen. Ooh, that thing could happen. Ooh, this speculation. And don't get me wrong, speculation is fun. It's part of the sport of gaming. It's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, like, you know, we could have Destruction Derby come back. And we kind of got that with Destruction All-Stars. Fortunately, Destruction All-Stars was just dull. And let's face it, the steering physics were like worse than Grand Theft Auto 4's butter tires. But you know, there was a solid idea there, and basically what it was Destruction Derby, just Destruction Derby in the 2020s. So be careful what you wish for; you may just get it. But here's the thing, as I'm trying to say here. We keep getting wrapped up in these discussions that ultimately go nowhere and are meaningless. You know, we could be talking about so many other great things in gaming. You know, people are always saying, like, you know, what's going on with games? They're just getting prettier. And to that I say games don't need to just be prettier. Okay, we need to have more interesting environments that react and act upon the character that you're choosing to play as. You know, you need, you know, much more immersive worlds to be in. You need to have NPCs that act more like people. You know, not just bump into the shoulder and they fly an insult, or you walk down the street with an AK-47 in your hand and nothing happens, people would like duck and cover or phone the police or whatever. Now that would kind of get tricky. Admittedly, they've got to have a suspension of disbelief. But so many times you walk down the streets or populated areas in open world games, and it's just kind of like, you're the player, you're expected to do this, blah 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 blah. And it doesn't feel alive, it doesn't feel visceral. I think what we need to do is, we need to ask game companies to come up with not just new ideas of plots and new ideas of of settings, but also new ideas of being within games, rather than just concentrating all the time on airy-fairy projects that will probably never ever happen. And if they do happen, they'll be nothing like we imagine. Put it this way, right? Unless these rumours come from people who are deeply in the know, when was the last time that somebody really hit the nail on the head? Now, admittedly, I've gotten a couple of things right here and there because I've been, deeply into gaming since I was quite young, and if anything, I've only gotten more deeply into gaming as I've gotten older. But a lot of people don't have the knowledge that I have. There's some deeply knowledgeable people on YouTube. I mean, Lady Decade, for instance. She really knows her stuff. I mean, I'm impressed with that woman. Wow. Salute to you, Lady Decade. You are a treasure. My God. And there's so many other great YouTubers out there. But so much of what is going on right now is just spinning of wheels because we know so little, because game companies, at the crux of it, just do not talk to us. It used to be the case that game companies would tell us things. They would give us little bits of information along the way, keep us interested. Now we make it up ourselves. And what's worse is, because we make it up ourselves, it gets into the social media, and then it just swirls around, it snowballs and snowballs, and becomes these unmanageable, unrealistic expectation storms. And it's just to put it in the words of Jack from Still Game, plenty! It's just plenty, alright? Just leave it. Enough. I mean, you know what the perfect game release is when you get right down to it? You know who made the perfect game release? And some reason I'm not going to I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, because this is my channel and I say what I like. Alright? Bethesda. Bethesda have had, in their history, one of the best forms of game release I have ever seen. You know what that was? For some of you younger ones out there that don't remember this, because it was a few years ago now. Alright? When Bethesda put out Fallout 4. Now I know what you're going to say, oh, Fallout 4, that was just Fallout 3 but prettier. I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking about the game's release. The way it was shown to the world. Bethesda came on at the stage at E3 on their own thing, because they used to do their own show, and this show, by the way, was epic. And they came up and went check this out. And it's all this thing in this war never changes. And everybody's oh my God! And then it's the Fallout logo appeared, and it was Fallout 4, and the crowd went nuts. I went nuts watching it at home, because that's how I watched E3 here at my couch, and then reporting to you guys. It's oh my God! And they said about the Pip-Boy edition, and I've got my Pip-Boy up there still to this day. And it was a brilliant game. I loved Fallout 4. But the way they put it out was simple. It's Todd Howard stood on the stage at E3 of Bethesda and basically said, see that? That's coming out in 4 months, that is. It's nae run up, nae mucking about, nae logo for seeing a logo for 5 years, and then somebody has put a teaser trailer, and then like 2 years later we then get a trailer, and then about a year after that then we get the game. No, they'd worked on the game in the back, kept on beavering away till they thought it was ready enough to show to the public. They showed it to the public went absolutely off their scone, and out it came, and the game was brilliant. Not the best game ever, but it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I went to every nook, crevice and cranny in that game. It's like I built an obscene structure in my town, and like it's just, I went nuts on that game. I had so many cores saved up. I could have literally just walked for weeks, and never had to worry about cores, because you didn't have to worry about the weight of the cores. But it was great. But now we're just stuck in this cycle of, oh, this thing might happen, it might happen, but we're never gonna happen. But it might happen. It's tiring, it's repetitive, and quite frankly, on the part of gaming journalists, it strikes as being just a wee bit lazy. Okay, so seriously, gaming journalists, stop it. Report on games that actually exist, especially when I'm looking at GameSpot and Kotaku, because I am so sick to the back teeth of seeing articles from you about what's going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't exist yet. The only thing we know that Rockstar have said is that they're working on it. That is it. I mean, like, nobody has said anything about working on Infamous. Nobody has said anything about working on Sly Cooper. And the list goes on and on. There's so many games that could come out. But as far as we know, right now, at the time of filming, and I was looking around the internet before I filmed this, and it's 9:30 on Saturday night. Okay, we know nothing. There is nothing to know. Okay, so just go with that. Enjoy what we have. For tomorrow, there'll be other things to play and other things to buy. And quite frankly, sometimes I think some of these games need to slow their roll, because all too often games come out and what happens? The game is buggy, and then we have to have a day 1 patch, and then we have to have a day 2 patch, and then maybe about a week or so later a bunch of people in the world have played it and they go, oh, the game's broken this way, oh, the game's broken that way, this audio file doesn't work, something this, something that. And then they have to put out patches and patches and patches. And then, you know, you're sitting there with your free time going, I'm down watching a bar download on my screen, watching a bar download. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs to watch a bar loading. Even with fast internet and, you know, 9th generation consoles, still, nobody needs that. Take it back to still game, gonna not do that, alright? This has been a wee bit ranty, I know, but I think my point is clear. If a game doesn't exist, don't big it up. When a game does exist, tell us about it. But tell us about it when it's no too far away. Don't tell me about a game that I might be interested in 5 years previously. I don't want to hear about a game for 5 years. Nobody wants that, really. And it doesn't always work out. Cyberpunk? Come on. I mean, how much have missed is 2037? Even now it's still a miss. Okay. I've spoken at length for far too long. I need to get off before I find another tangent and go off on that. Right, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you, so you know the drill by now. Hashtag support Scottish YouTubers. And of course, as always, no bother.